Good evening to one and all present over here. I'm Sonika from SSN College of Engineering, pursuing my second year of undergraduate in civil engineering and also positioned as a CA in CMTI. I will be working as a program coordinator for this entire workshop. On behalf of CMTI, I welcome you all for this online training workshop on construction liaisoning. Today, we have two major leading experts with more than 50 years of experience in the industry. Engineer V Suresh sir as a keynote speaker and Engineer Subhash Pathak sir as a program trainer for all 5 days. CMTI is a professional organization working towards the development of students and construction professionals. We have 100 plus experts for coaching and practical construction and associated with 30 plus leading engineering colleges. More than 5,000 students were trained by CMTI and CMTI have done 1,000 plus placements. We are connected with more than 200 plus construction companies for placements and training. For your kind notice, we have recently launched a new Android application, CMTI Civil Engineering Connect. For the benefit of everyone, we are also providing some free courses in it. I request all the participants to download it from the Play Store and gain knowledge from it. Do follow our CMTI official page and our social media accounts for further updates about our workshops and training. If there are any queries, I request participants to use the chat box. At the end of the session, it will be cleared by our experts. Our team will be helping you throughout the program and kindly support us to happen it in a better way. A feedback form will be posted at the end of the session in the chat box. E-certificates will be provided for the active participants for all 5 days. Now I hand over to CEO of CMTI, Engineer Ashok sir, to speak about the objective of the program.
Thank you, Sonika, for a brief introduction about the program and welcoming the audience. This is Ashok Kumar on behalf of CMTA. Welcome everyone for this wonderful program. We have experts, Mr. V Suresh is available to give a keynote speech, and Subhash Pathak sir is also available. And he's going to take over for the 5 days about construction licensing. I felt this is the area where a lot of projects faces trouble because of improper licensing. After taking up the works, maybe due to the licensing, the work may be stopped. You might be heard a lot of examples, but the licensing is an important area where there is no focus. People think that the engineers and the architects think that this is others' work, other people, the administration people will take care of this. Like that, the involvement is not there in the projects. I thought, why can't we give this an education for the upcoming engineers and the architects who are there in this construction domain? Immediately, I spoke to Subhash Pathak sir, and he has happily accepted. He told, yes, I can deliver this because he worked in government department for more than 40 years of experience that is having. That is appropriate. Immediately, I asked Suresh sir for keynote speech. Sir is busy with so many programs in spite of his busy schedule. He told this is the subject where it goes with him in his heart. He thought of giving some uh, idea about the construction licensing to the audience. Sonika, can you introduce Suresh sir profile to the audience?
Yes, sir, sure.
It's over to you.
Firstly, I'm pleased to welcome our today's keynote speaker, Engineer Vasudevan Suresh. V Suresh sir is a civil engineer from Anna University, College of Engineering, Guindy, with experience of over 55 years in housing, urban development, infrastructure, and real estate sectors and sustainable development. He was a former CMD HUDCO with all-round growth in housing, innovative infrastructure development, use of appropriate technology applications in the built environment. He is a member of expert group for EIA Infra 2 projects of Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, member of Advisory Council for Rebuild Kerala and member of Kerala Government Committee for Housing and Habitat Policy. He is the chairman of Indian Green Building Council, chairman of IGBC Green Cities Rating Committee, chairman of BIS Housing Committee, vice chairman of National Building Code of India, and member of Smart Cities Committee of BIS. He has received 16 awards and recognition, and to cap it with the CIDC Industry Doyen Award 2011, IBC Lifetime Achievement Award 2014, and CIA World Lifetime Achievement Award 2017. We welcome you, sir. It's over to you.
Sir, today audience Excuse me, today the people from construction industry are attending, architects also attending from Pune and various places, and students, civil engineering students also attending. The audience is having a various profile. Mr. Mohan Raj from Larsen and Toubro, Mr. Prabhakaran, Mr. Vivek Singh, Mr. Vinay Mangrulkar. I have shared the audience list to the dignitaries. Varied section of people are attending. Based on that, you can have an interaction, sir. I request audience to write your introduction in the message box so that our speakers will have an idea about your profile. Over to you, sir. Suresh, sir, you can take over.
Until sir, 5 days. 5 days. Can we start?
Yes,
can
sir.
We start? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Okay. We're very happy. Good evening to all the distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, and special welcome to Jain Saab. I'm glad from Engineering Council of India he has joined today, and to Pathak Saab and all the distinguished representatives of the industry. I'm very happy that I'm able to address on a very important topic called construction liaisoning. Having been in the sector for over 5.5 decades, my points of view would cover from 2 points, 2 segments point. What can be done internally and what can be done externally. So when I say as a team member internally, I'm talking in terms of all the interaction, coordination, and integration that is required between all the multidisciplinary professionals who are dealing at the conceptual as well as the detailed planning, development, and good for construction detailed drawings over there between the architects, the civil engineer, the structural engineer, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, firefighting, communication specialists, lift installation specialists, and all the specialists. The National Building Code of India, for those who may not know, Part 2016 version has a chapter called Part 0, and Part 0 has identified 18 professionals in the building construction sector, or for that matter, any construction sector, who are to deal with any particular project. And each one have got their own expertise to deal with that particular segment. And each one of them is important in their own way, while 1 or 2 of them might play a little larger coordination role coming in this particular area, depending upon either a building project or an infrastructure development project. If it's a building project, architect and civil engineer can take a lead. In the case of a major infrastructure projects like bridges or roads or some other projects over there, a water supply or some other one, then the chief engineer will be taking the lead in that. But more important aspect which I wanted to share with all of you is that right at the planning stages and design stages, there is enormous amount of coordination interaction that is required between all the concerned professionals. More so in the building construction sector, where large number of professionals do come over there, which normally has not been happening. They come at a later stage and you run into large amount of problems in that particular sector. So therefore, Part 0 of the National Building Code, while it gives comprehensive coverage from Part 1 to Part 12 of the NBC, the important issues of coordination between all the professionals, multidisciplinary professionals, and what stage they should come, etc., not only at the initial level of finalizing the design and including maybe the estimating and the award of work stages, but even during the construction stages, the coordination has to come from each of those particular sectoral specialists. At different points of time, they'll come into the picture depending upon where their inputs have to come. The primary area is that there has to be a 3-dimensional space clarity for each of those particular groups to come and work, and therefore their inputs are going to be respected. Otherwise, it will lead to wastage of work, fouling of the thing, clash of those particular various components in the building sector, or even for that matter, infrastructure, laying, underground laying and related one. And now that we are going to large amount of the infrastructure ducting going to come in large townships, where all the utility ducts are going to be provided, not in the middle of the road, the water line or a sewer line or a gas line being laid. They'll all be now separately done. And therefore, coordination will be very much required, and more so during the implementation between the structural, non-structural finishes and the services installation time period. and most of the coordination would be required of a very high order. And this has got to be organized internally very well. And when they do that particular thing, simultaneously, you will also see the large number of approvals which are required. And this is an external environment. External environment, be it the municipal corporation or a development authority. Is it okay or is it gone? Development authority or other organizations like a water supply and sewerage board or electricity board or an authority or a pollution control board or environmental impact clearance authority, etc., etc. And these are large number of people there. So that will bring us to the approval stages that's required for a building before the building construction starts or infrastructure construction starts over there. So therefore, this aspect becomes an important area, how you will be working very closely with each one of those particular things. Let's say a building plan approval from a municipal corporation or a municipality, or in some cases, they can be larger development authorities can play a role on development permit or a building permit. And then all the approvals required during different stages of construction, be it building permit or commencement for construction work, or various reports to be given during the implementation stages, including a completion certificate, which are supposed to be submitted to the authority, based on which occupancy certificate is made available. And in many cases, you will see that you need also the NOCs to be brought in. And therefore, before getting a building permit, NOCs have to be brought from the fire authorities, have to be got from in many cases who are dealing in the builders and developers level. They'll indicate only 30 odd approvals are required, NOCs are required from various concerned departments who are not sitting in the local body to give the final approval, based on which the approval is coming. Of course, now the electronic filing is coming in a big way, wherein all these things can be done through a single window approach. It is just in the initial stages we are, but otherwise the concerned architect or the engineer, in fact, the new animal is created now called liaison architect or liaison engineer. Therefore, your particular program is liaisoning. So therefore, yeah, a professional who is otherwise background is that of an architect or that of an engineer, who would be liaisoning with the concerned regulatory authorities on the outer end, regulatory or a service installation agency, for example, a water supply and sewerage board or water authority or electricity board or utility companies to deal with that, electrical inspectorate of the state to give the power connection and give the approval for the particular one, and the lift inspectorate for the lift installation and the approval to be done from that point of view, the environmental impact assessment authority for large projects, either a state environmental impact assessment authority or anything project beyond a certain area, it has to go to the Government of India, Ministry of Environment and Forest Expert Approval Committee for EIA approval. And therefore, those are all very, very important component of approvals that requires to be done for a project. And based on that, you will get a consent to establish. That will be done through the Pollution Control Board, or a consent to operate once the construction is over. And these are type of linkages that has got to be definitely maintained in the road. So one is internally with all your disciplines within your own organization, how you deal with that, then the interface required. So this is where some of the specialists working in the internal group will be the one coordinating. Like, for example, the MEP electrical consultant will be dealing with the electrical inspectorate, will be dealing with that, or the one with the fire specialist will be dealing with the state chief fire officer or the fire service representative. Like that, each one of the discipline people will be coming. And these days, structural design becomes an important component, and the structural stability certificate is an important input that has got to be given, and how that will be done by the structural engineer to give that the building is strong structurally from all points of view. And that will be an important area for giving a permission or a building permit or whatever. So like that, similarly, you will have other related authorities coming in the picture for explosives and other related one. I have a list of roughly around 30 odd people with whom we have to really get the one from the forest department for tree cutting and various other related one, planting of trees and other related issues, and for groundwater board for extracting water for either construction purpose or for later on for using as a water approval for them. There are various statutory authorities dealing with the planning, regulatory framework under their building rules or development control rules or planning standards, which will be the operating regulatory framework under which all the approvals are to be got. You have to have good understanding of that. Normally, the liaison architect or liaison engineer are the one who interface with them depending upon the specialist area coming. And it's very necessary. And during the construction phase also, equally important, installation phase also, they'll come into the picture to see whether everything is going on time, everything going as per the approved plan, no changes are made, or even if changes are to be made for local situations, you got to get the prior approval for such changes required, based on which the cumulative completion report are to be submitted, which again will cut through all these areas, the plans of which will go to the fire authority, the electrical inspectorate, lift inspectorate, etc., for them to give the clearance for you to get the and fire authority is very, very important. And based on which only the local body or the local corporation, when the local body, I mean the municipal corporation or municipality, or in some case, if they are village areas, the panchayats will give that based on the approval of these people, and therefore you'll have to get geared up to deal with that. So liaisoning in construction is an area which has got various dimensions of that. And once you get to the construction phase itself, the amount of requirement that you have to get with respect to the procurement of material, the type of facilities required on safety of the workman, and so that no accidents are there, the type of precautions to be done, the labor inspectors and other related people will be visiting your particular site to see whether everything is going properly done. Are you taking all the safety done in line with OSAS 18001, or the barricading is done, or all the personal protective equipment is worn by the workers there. All those aspects are equally important component to which the people, the construction engineer or the site engineer who deals with the type of project implementation has got to coordinate. This again where somebody from the organization will be there to coordinate or liaise with the local agencies and approval later on. In many cases, you might get the material from outside, the type of problems that will be there for getting those material from different outside the state, within the state, or different cities or towns within the one. The type of problem that you will face related to that becomes an equally important area for which all time with the local police department or law and order people, the type of coordination that will be required will be phenomenal. You won't know it unless you are dealing with the project. Having dealt with those live projects at the site over there, I can identify the number of agencies with whom you got to really ensure the coordination, including supply side, whether it's the human resource supply side or the material resources to come over there. They might be coming from different parts of the country. Your workman, the gangs of people, either from Assam or Orissa or West Bengal or Uttar Pradesh, wherever. I'm not particularly your neighboring state or your own particular state. If you do your work, neighboring state also they can come. There are a large number of issues involved dealing with the nature of construction process itself, besides the technological issues, which are very, very important aspects in terms of what you are doing to ensure quality construction, safe construction, durable construction. Now, those are not the topic for discussion today, which in any case you'll have to do it. But in the day-to-day process of making 24/7 operation, more so night operations, 8-hour, 3 shifts operation during the peak construction period, etc., what all precautions we done, what do you do for construction water, construction power, and the type of close interaction that you'll have to deal with the authorities is phenomenal on that. Besides, of course, the local district administration people also will come in play in those particular ones. But I'm concentrating not at that level, but in terms of the statutory authority people, very, very important. They can come at any particular point of time, inspection, as long as the project is well planned, well designed, well implemented with all precautions, etc. There are no concerns or issues in that. But otherwise, if you have any small weakness in any one of the area, that will be the time you can be 100% sure when inspection authorities do come on the site over there. And if you don't have the right level of what you call link with those person, good liaison as a particular people, you can get into difficulty, and you should be able to answerable for the situation. You can't afford the work to stop at any point of time. Leave alone God forbid it doesn't happen. No accidents or anything, events take place at the project site over there. And that's again an area where you got to be extremely careful and cautious and be prepared to deal with that, especially large projects implementation. This is a team that you got to deal with that. I'm happy that CMTA has got a helmet as your signage. You have that. So like that, 100 items are there in a construction project site, which you'll have to deal with that. And so therefore break it up into 3 components: the planning level, design level, finalization, up to tender award stages. What do you do during the construction phase is the second component. What type of linkages? There also the liaison will come. The first stage also liaison will come with the outside as well as the internal team will be there. During construction phase, a different team, not the planning design team, but the engineering implementation team are going to come over there. And the third and most important stage that's going to come over there is at the occupancy and commissioning and occupation stages. Now, this is an area where now what is going to happen is increasingly the new part 12 of the NBC talks about assets and facility management. Are you maintaining all your systems right? Is it in a working condition? Is your firefighting system working? Is your plumbing system working? Is your treatment plant working? Is your water treatment plant or sewage treatment plant working or not? Because you get an annual renewal certificate for your lift installation from the lift inspectorate. So you got to keep it going and working, your maintenance and other related issue. And therefore, the new group of people called assets and facility managers have come for those completed buildings. They got to do the coordination and liaisoning with the concerned utility supply authorities like a water supply authority or electric power authority or lift installation authority or a fire service authority. Because now people are coming to buildings in office, factories, residences, hotels, hospitals, etc. So they'll be interfacing. Somebody has to interface to continuously performing that. So these 3 stages are equally important in the liaisoning. So we got to really see how well we cover that. But so it depends. I'm sure Mr. Pathak will be opening out on each one of those areas. One is normally the liaisoning they try to indicate is that internally within your own, all your multidisciplinary professionals who are going to contribute to the design and the construction or implementation phase for the building or the infrastructure. Whatever I talk for buildings are equally applicable, but for infrastructure like a road or a water line or something like that, you won't have to deal with so many people. It will be only the concerned authority for whom you're doing, like a PW or a highway authority or a road development corporation company or something like that. Some of those or a water board or sewerage board for you are implementing the project. So there will be a little different setup, but there again the conditions are equally important to deal with liaisoning requirement. But only thing, since they are large distance coming over there, not one location there, and they are spread across sometimes in kilometers and kilometers of such infrastructure being laid, you have to have the right level of linkages for the concerned villages through which they are passing. You shouldn't have any problem on that, any difficulty for local villages or communities or city or town through which it's passing through. You'll have to ensure that aspect. It's a skill, enormous skill is required. The one who is dealing with the coordination work or the liaisoning or the liaisoning architect or liaisoning engineer, sometimes it becomes very difficult to even give that nomenclature for the people. But large number of builders do have who is a liaisoning architect, who is a liaisoning engineer, who knows what's happening in that organization, where the file is moving, where to where, what objections have been raised, how to attend to those particular one, how to comply that particular thing through your consultancy, with drawings are to be changed, etc. So he should know the pulse of the movement of the particular file or processing over there. He will know in that authority, is it a municipal corporation authority or a development authority or a water board or sewer board or electricity department, etc., or fire department. He'll be able to know exactly what's happening to your project. Is it moving forward or not moving forward? Is it important? It requires substantially good engineering knowledge or architectural knowledge for that matter, depending on what facet you're dealing with. A reasonably good understanding of all the regulations which govern that, be it the building bylaws or building regulations or building rules or development control rules or any codal requirement, electricity rules or rules which are governing each one of the activity, which are functional activities that come over there for various departments. It will be reasonably fully understanding a good knowledge of also legal related issues. So it's a what can I say? It's a 2-3 traits put together in that particular person. a pleasing personality to interact, to communicate, to deal with the particular person, also knowing all the required